Yes, I am.
Awesome. Okay, go ahead and get your camera on for me. Awesome. Well, welcome everyone. This is MS Office Hours. Today is October 12th, 2023, and we are here with Destin from Southern New Hampshire University. So, uh, Destin, I'm going to pass it to you. I'm not sure if anyone's co-presenting with you today, but if you need to share your screen, you should be able to. Go ahead and introduce yourself and kick it off.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dastan Benet. I am from Southern New Hampshire University. I'm a Power Platform developer, and today I will be talking about student registration app. Before I demo the app, I have created a little fun presentation talking about the process. What did it look like before we create the app and automate it? So I'm going to share my screen, and if you guys can give me a thumbs up if you see the screen. Okay.
We got you.
Awesome. Yeah, it's campus opening registration app. Oops. Like I said, I'm from Southern New Hampshire University. Just a quick overview. We are a big online school. We have over online and campus. We have over 200,000 learners, students overall. We have about like 5,000 students on campus. This app is specifically for campus registration. This is my LinkedIn account talking about QR codes. Here's my QR code if you want to scan it. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Um, and um, as we all know, if you work for a higher education organization or like you have been a student, you know, like new students come with a bunch of requirements, documents, prerequisites, stuff that they need to do before they register for school and for class. And the way that like this is different from like an organization to another, but generally speaking, for us, it's like the most like the departments that gather requirements from the student are student financial services, wellness center, housing, and also dining center. We have not included dining center this year in the app. We only have SFS, wellness center, and housing um, in the app for this year. And we will be adding uh, the dining requirements for next year. Um, as we might know, like all those departments do their processes separately, at least in our case before. So they all had their own way of collecting information, checking if their student, all the requirements, the students have all the requirements or not. And all those documents were sent to one person and that like or a department, then they would collect it from everyone, all the different department, and kind of try to put it. All the files were in different formats, so trying to like put it in one format to make it accessible. Most of the departments had their lists in separate Excel sheets, and then the main format, the combined format, was also before creating the app was in an Excel sheet. So to make sure every student have all their requirements, what we do, the process that the way we do it is the weekend before school starts, we have registration weekend. We require every single student, the new students, to stop by one of the registration desks that we have dedicated registration desks to make sure to check in and make sure if there is any missing documents, any missing requirements. This process before has been done manually through Excel sheets, like I said. Those Excel sheets, like each desk had hard copy Excel sheets and a line of students, because like I said, we require everyone to check in. So the process was complicated, crowded, and very hard to manage. Having different Excel sheets from different departments, different formats, hard copy, very small font size, made it very hard for whoever was on the desk to manage it. I volunteered for a couple of years, and it was really hard. One year, actually, they asked us to like, at the end of the day, they were collecting like how many students left to check in for example, for SFS or wellness centers. So you had to go through every single Excel sheet manually and look at the check mark and count those that have not checked in and that have holds with those specific department. So it was a hectic process, and that was the result. Sometimes you get exhausted by all the manual processes. So what we did was automated this process through Power App and Power Automate. One thing that I want to mention is because of we are such a big school supporting all those learners, we have about 4,000, probably 5,000 employees. I'm not sure about the exact number, but um, we don't have premium licensing for everyone. So everything that you will see is based on SharePoint lists. We don't use Dataverse for like big apps like this. Also, we do not like we haven't used Dataverse in this one. It's all SharePoint based. Before I'm only demoing the app. Before I demo the app, I want to talk about like how did I get the data from each department. So we got the main list, which was about 2,000 students, and then got separate lists from each department. I manually put the main list into a SharePoint list and created a Power Automate that gathers data from those other lists, match it, finds the name of the student in the main list, and then check marks like each department if they have a hold with SFS or they have a hold with wellness center and housing. So this is what the app looks like. So just by a glance, as you can see, the interface, the UX UI is very user friendly. You can search by student name, first name, last name, or student ID, doesn't matter. You can uh, you have the list of all the students as of right now. When you open the app, just to make it easier, less clicks, we only show not checked in. It by default goes to not checked in. But you can see other lists by clicking on each button, and it will filter this gallery in the bottom. And just by a glance, you can see how many students. By the way, this list is all like I created those dummy data, so it's all fake names for security purposes. So we had more students. Right now, it only shows 11. So like if you see it by just by a glance, you can see 11 students not checked in. 9 of them have housing. 7 of them have financial hold, and 10 of them have wellness hold. Um, so if I click on checked in students, you can see 4 students have checked in. And if you click at see all, you see all 15 um, students that I have listed in this list. If I click, if I type a student name here, it will take me to that student. And in the student gallery item, you see first name and last name, their preferred name, and then student ID number. Just by looking at the icons, you can see this student, the first student, have wellness hold, financial hold, and housing, and it's not checked in. that means they have something that's required by wellness and they need to provide it. So clicking on the student name, pop-up message will show up again just to verify their name, the preferred name, date of birth, student ID, student email, the term start, the stage, what holds they have. After I clear those holds, or I tell them to check with those offices, I can check the student in, and once I check it in, you can see the student disappeared from the not checked in list. And if I go to the checked in list, this is the student in the checked in list. Um, um, Also, you can search by student ID as well. For example, if I grab this student ID here, you can just search and it gives you the same ID. Another thing that we added, like I said, last year they add, for example, from not checked in, you now see that you have 9 students that have wellness hold. If you click on that icon, it only shows that, it shows like it from all, it shows 14 students from overall that has, that has the wellness hold. And if you click on this icon, it shows you all the students that have the financial hold, and then same thing for the housing. Um, and as you can see, the number in the bottom of the page reflects that the page I am in. So you can just quickly, by looking at the page, you can see the numbers that um, are reflecting the list that I'm in currently. Um, so this was this, as you can see, like made the whole process with a very simple app, very like just user-friendly design, made it very, very easy. So the way we handled it was we had staff members that had tablets. They had this app installed on the tablet, and they would check in students um, using this app. I just have a couple images from the check-in day. As you can see, lines of students, and there you can see staff members uh, using the app actively, and it really made the process very easy. I invited someone from student affairs that I worked with using this app, Victoria. I don't know if she's here, but yeah, if you guys have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer.
That was awesome. Yeah, so it looks like we've got a couple of questions. Carlos, do you want to come off mute?
Yeah, thank you. Awesome work. Were you at MPPC?
Yes, I was.
I think I
I
wanted to. I tried to connect with you, and we just didn't find the time. So,
okay,
would love
yeah,
to. So I sent you something through LinkedIn, but I had a couple of questions.
sure.
I think primarily, how did you deal with delegation on
And
on a list that size?
yeah, so I have like some workarounds for delegations. What I usually do, like I put the list into a collection sometimes uh, before before like, because like managing data or like patching data or extracting data from the list connector, sometimes not even only delegation, even loading data can be,
Mm.
especially if you are using an app or you are using mobile or tablet, uh, could take some time. So I use collections, but yeah, delegation with SharePoint is still like, I have some workarounds, but it's still an issue.
Okay, yeah. I guess the other question is just simple one. Why go with a phone, phone format, and if you had iPads or stuff, that'd be like a more comfortable workspace, right?
Yeah, I think we were not sure if they're going to be using tablets or phones. That's why I went with the phone size, and it was just a compact design. I didn't want too much space, but yeah, the main reason was I wasn't sure, so I just went with mobile size.
Cool. It's awesome work. Thank you for sharing it.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, this
See
is
you there.
Gary. I'm also was at the conference. I didn't get a chance. I don't think we got a chance to all connect with each other because we're running all over the place. I was just going to ask. It sounds like licensing was maybe one of the concerns that went into the design for it. And being on the side of Microsoft, I definitely want people to just be able to use the toys and the tools and kind of put some of those things aside, right? Have you considered, or I don't know who you've spoken to already, have you considered possibly using Power Pages as the display layer so that only the developers and I would say the power users would need the license, right? And so you would get all the power from that, and then everybody else, like, it's just a consumption thing. So it would drop the cost like super low. So is that something
Right.
you've considered?
Yeah, we don't use Power Pages yet at Southern New Hampshire University, so that's why I have considered, like I know about that, but yeah, we don't use Power Pages yet.
Cool. And this is just me, speaking for I have these kinds of conversations pretty often, and then how these kinds of things scale. So even
Yeah.
like last night with the state of Hawaii at like 10 o'clock, doing a workshop with AI, showing them to do this, that, and the other, right? Like, hey, here's a situation where I use my mobile phone and I can scan. I'm going to say QR code or your barcode or your badge, right? From you walk in. Oh, I don't have my badge. All right, cool. Let me go look you up, right? And so that form factor for those folks, comes in handy. So definitely, the ability to wrap is something that you might want to look at also, where that Power Page, if you're not trying to spend a lot of money, could be quote unquote wrapped, so to look like an app, but still have all the same snappiness, right, that you would have or
Right.
expect from a mobile app. So no, awesome presentation. Thank you very much for sharing. I would say that especially since the muscle memory and the problems that you solved using SharePoint as the back end,
Yeah.
once you start seeing like what you can do with things like Dataverse, right, like those things that you spend time working around, like, oh shoot, it just works, right?
Yeah.
And my last thing I'll say is like, for those who are building things on SharePoint, right? So the beautiful part about Dataverse is that if something's in SharePoint or SQL, you can pull it right in. No one has to know where the data is actually coming from. So all that work you've done isn't lost. So you can actually treat it as a black box. And so if you're looking to move those kinds of workloads over, definitely doable, not super painful, right? So if you ever decide to rip the Band-Aid off, yeah, please reach out.
Thank you.
Carlos, your hand is back up. Unmute still.
Should have left mess with him and just don't tell him to unmute. Let him see how far you get.
This question for it's for you, Gary, actually, and if you or any of the Microsoft people, because I heard at some point if you create apps in Teams, that they were looking at the possibility of sideloading those apps into the 365 mobile app. Have you heard anything about that?
So today, yeah, you can. I'm trying to remember, like, so for like clinical situations where we use a deep link to Teams, right, for people to be able to use what's in Teams to communicate, they'll use the Power Virtual Agent or an app, or the other way around. I like staying in the browser and I want to put Teams inside the browser. So you can do both. But as far as side loading, are you talking about the Dataverse for Teams or?
Yeah, that's it's exactly, because that sort of helps us get around the limitations of SharePoint. If we develop a Teams Power App with Dataverse for Teams as the back end, there was some rumor circulating about the fact that there was a project going on where you could then surface those Teams Power Apps in the 365 mobile app.
So I'm not sure. I haven't heard that. And though it's something we have, right? So like, for instance, I use SharePoint, but within Dataverse, right? Because SharePoint's really good for document management. And I will say, like, here's my app. But by the way, as you're attaching documents, it's going to a SharePoint library. But for Dataverse for Teams, right, it has a very similar data model, or I would say security model, where you've only got, I think, 3 cases, right? So having a security role, you've only got the 3 that are out of the box. So that's the part where I would say it can be, it's like a tease, so to speak, right? Because like, hey, I'm getting the power of Dataverse, but if you need to do anything a little bit more complicated, then you need to take it a step further, right? And so back to the security model for, I can only be something like a contributor, admin, or just like a viewer. So those might be things that would limit, right, the ability to make it a full-on Power App accessible that way. But I haven't seen that. But if you've got a link for it, or you hear anything about that, send it my way, because that'll definitely change a lot of things up.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Okay, thanks.
And Justin, there was one other question. I think Louis asked how your environments are set up. Can you talk a little bit about how you currently run those environments?
Yeah, we are still working on application development lifecycle, but we are like for this app specifically, we have dev environment, test environment, and production environment. So yeah, I created the app in dev environment. We tested it for I would say like 3 to 5 days in test environment, and then moved it to production environment.
Awesome. Any other questions for Dastan? Well, if there are any other questions, be sure to throw them in the chat, and Dastan, we may shoot you over some additional questions for some follow up if there is any. But man, thank you so much. I think that was super cool. Even Nick, I was chatting with Nick Miller, who's one of our resident Power Apps gurus. He was super stoked to see it, so he's gonna have to watch the recording. But yes, thank you so much for presenting and showcasing that. It looks like it was a huge success. And I can't wait to see how others are going to start using Power Apps and the rest of the Power Platform suite to create some awesome solutions as well. So with that,
Awesome.
I'll go ahead and stop the recording. We are